Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my channel. Here is my post-race analysis of the Australian Grand Prix that just wrapped up. It was full of controversy, so I have lots to talk about. So I hope you guys stay tuned in because I am absolutely furious. So I will tell you guys in a bit why I am so frustrated, and there's so many emotions that um, are running through my mind, and I cannot even think straight. Um, it's really frustrating. It really is. So I'm gonna be covering Ferrari like I always do. I'm a tifosi. I love Ferrari, but um, I have a lot to talk about. This race is for me controversial. It really is. And there is nobody that I can say, oh, I think you're just being biased or you're just being hateful. There is no being hateful. I know the rules. I've studied about the Formula One. I'm learning day by day, and sometimes I don't know stuff, but these are stuff that I know clearly, and it makes no bloody sense. So let me just start off by talking about the results. Charles Leclerc, unfortunately, in lap one, right off the bat, heartbreak. I was frustrated. I was sad, but I was like, well, it was a mistake. It's racing. Charles Leclerc did really made me sad, but I was like, that's just racing, and uh, mistakes happen, and he went off, so it was really heartbreaking. Leclerc was aggressive. He went after, he took the racing line. Stroll took him out. Lance Stroll took him out. um, at first I thought, when they said Charles Leclerc is out and I saw the car in the gravel, I was sad, and I thought that uh, Charles Leclerc probably went off. He probably lost his steering wheel, probably lost a tire, or maybe a mechanic issue, maybe. But I saw the replay, and Lance Stroll took him out. Lance Stroll took him out, and I wasn't that frustrated in the beginning. I was like, well, yeah, Lance Stroll, he's gonna get his penalty, which I was really hoping. I mean, come on, that is a penalty. That was a straight penalty. Like 5 seconds, because at the end of the day, our race got ruined. Like, Charles Leclerc was out of the race. What can we do now? But as a good sportsman, he does deserve his penalty. He should have gotten his penalty. If he got has had his penalty for that incident with Charles Leclerc, he would have deserved it, but he would not have an issue with it. I don't understand. You know what I mean? Uh, our race got fucked up, but Stroll would have still been in the race. Compare Charles Leclerc's, uh, you know, crash with Lance Stroll, which is 90%, 90% of it is caused by Lance Stroll. I know a lot of Aston Martin fans will come after me and be like, "Oh, you're just being biased, or you're a tifosi, blah 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 blah." No, no, I am sorry, but I am not trying to be biased here. I try to stay as neutral as possible, and I try to be as sportsmanlike as I can. But that crash was not acceptable, right? Charles Leclerc got aggressive. I know it. It's racing. There are risks. So, yes, Charles Leclerc did take his risk. So, naturally, when Charles Leclerc went for the apex, naturally, by racing, if you have IQ, if Lance Stroll had IQ during that turn, and he would know that he lost that apex, that he lost the racing line, because Charles Leclerc was half of his car was already way way ahead of Lance Stroll, but Lance Stroll took him out from the back. He came from the back. So Charles Leclerc heartbreakingly went out of the race. I wasn't too pissed off. I was sad. I was expecting a penalty, and the stewards right away, the FIA, they looked at it and they said no penalty at all. They didn't bother looking, like they didn't spend, maybe not even spend 5 minutes looking into it. Like maybe even after 30 seconds, they already made their mind and they were like, yeah, we're not gonna look further into it. So I'm like I'm like already getting irritated. I'm like how is that possible? Like Lance Stroll went into him, and I've seen like even less contact than this in my other races before. Like even last year, there were some incidents, but it wasn't that crazy as it was today. But they still got a penalty, like in these last races. But all of a sudden, there's a clear Lance Stroll, Lance Stroll hit Charles Leclerc, which clearly showed that Charles Leclerc on camera, from what I've seen, and I've been watching racing for a long time, but from my point of view, from what I've seen, Lance Stroll had no reason to be there. Charles Leclerc got that racing line first, so it's first come, first serve. That's it. And what, you know, safely, safe racing, Lance Stroll should have just braked because Charles Leclerc already had the line. Now, Carlos Sainz. Bloody hell, what the fuck was that? What the actual fuck was that? I'm sorry, but this is gonna be like my most emotional video. I hope this is my last one, but this is gonna be a very, very emotional, irritating video because I have no fucking idea what the actual fuck was that. Like, I'm sorry for my cussing, but I'm gonna cuss a lot in this video because this is really frustrating. It really is. So, as things stand, Carlos Sainz will come in at P12 from a 5-second penalty. Right? This, I'm just telling you guys just information, facts for now. I already gave you guys my thoughts, my thinking about Charles Leclerc's incident, and now I'm about to give you guys my thoughts about the whole controversial. And I think tomorrow morning we're gonna have more news because there is a lot of stuff going on. I mean, come on, there's so much, especially like so many teams, like not just Ferrari, not just my team, but also, Haas. Haas got fucked. Who do you say? McLaren also got fucked a little bit, and then Yuki Tsunoda also got fucked for, I think like a good portion of it. But there are a few pilots that got fucked. It makes no sense. You know what I mean? Listen, there were a lot of red flags. There were also a lot of crashes. So I do understand it's a high pressure zone for the FIA, but there are some decisions that should not be that hard to make. And there's some decisions I don't understand. And this other incident, I don't understand what the hell that end of the race was. So Carlos Sainz potentially was in a position, and by a racing law, he was P3. Yeah, he was P3, and he had it. And even at the restart, he should have been at P3 regardless. And he did not cause any collision. Like he was there, and he had the apex. He had the apex nice and clean. Yeah, and then Fernando Alonso was on the he was already on the grass. His other half of the car was already on the grass, so he was outside of the racing line, and safely racing. He should have braked and then wait for Carlos Sainz to go, and then he goes. He was already on the momentum. I'm not telling him to fully brake, but he should have naturally. He knows better than this. Fernando Alonso is a veteran. He has been in Formula One for 10 years, and he should have known better. Yet he's crying about it. I saw him. For the thing that really frustrates me a lot is that for 10 minutes straight, because this whole red flag at the end with Kevin Magnussen, and that's where the controversy started. For 10 minutes straight, they were saying restart, and I accept the fact that it was going to be a restart, that because the red flag happened at the very, very final lap. So what they were going to do basically was they were just going to bring the pilots out there and just finish the lap behind the safety car, which I accept because by law and by the rule book of the FIA themselves, it makes sense. and it is by the rule book. And what they said was, for 10 minutes straight, they said, okay, we're gonna keep the grid that uh, was the last grid before we ended up, like, basically when the red flag happened. And I don't know, actually, Ken Magnussen, and then they had a restart, and then like all these crashes happened with like Stroll and like Sargent, and like a lot of pilots, like a few pilots went out, like Nick DeVries, and like, and Fernando Alonso ended up in the back, so Fernando Alonso is supposed to be P11, you know what I mean? So a lot of pilots, had a lot of drama as well, and a lot of them spin and crashed out and stuff. So the actual grid at the end of the last and final red flag was Verstappen number one, P1. I accept with that. I'm happy with that. He deserves it. P2, Lewis Hamilton. Very, 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 very well deserved. I have no issue with that. Now, P3, it was Carlos Sainz. And there is no fucking issue with it. I don't understand what the issue was. And then, yeah, that's what they said. Even the commentators, I was listening to what they were saying, and they were saying, well, it should be, like Verstappen is good. Like they're discussing a restart, which I agree with. But then they're also gonna, just gonna keep the grid that ended up last time. So basically, like the grid, like not before the restart, but after all these crashes, with Sargent, De Vries, Alonso, when they, and I think I forgot a few more, but all these pilots, when they went off, where they finally ended up before the, like they said, like the final red flag, that's where the grid should be. So by this rule that the FIA discussed, and they said themselves, it should have been, from my point of view, it should have been Verstappen, Hamilton, Sainz, and then Hulkenberg. Nico Hulkenberg should have been P4. You know what I mean? This is the grid that I think that should have been the actual grid, and the final grid and the final results. But all of a sudden, 2 minutes, like when there was like about 2 minutes remaining before the restart, because they have a timeline, like so they have a clock running, the FIA. They don't have all day to make decisions. So they have like a time clock. I think it's like 20, 25 minutes, or even more, maybe even 30 minutes. So when there's a red flag, all the pilots come in the pit stops, in the pit stops, and then and the FIA makes a decision. So, and then all of a sudden, there's like 3 minutes left, so everything looking good, and the commentators keep saying it's going to be Verstappen, Hamilton, Sainz, Nico Hulkenberg. He is gonna be P4, and then like the rest, which it was so acceptable, because by the law of the race, fairly and naturally, that should have been the grid, because that's how things ended up last time they announced the red flag, which by law it makes perfect fucking sense. Then all of a sudden they say, FIA announces it's gonna be Verstappen, normal, Hamilton, and then Fernando Alonso, out of fucking nowhere. And I have a feeling, and it's been 2 races in a row where I think it was Saudi Arabia, Fernando Alonso took P3 away from George Russell. Because of what? Because the penalty was not lining up correctly, and he took away P3 from him, so a podium from George Russell. Now he takes away a podium for Carlos Sainz, which is his own mistake. First of all, in Saudi Arabia, if we go back, it was his fucking mistake. He is a veteran pilot. I'm not hating on Fernando Alonso. I think he is a wonderful driver, but come on, this is total logic. It's total common sense. Like, how are you not lined up correctly, but all the other pilots, they're all lined up correctly? Like, and Esteban, oh my god, in Bahrain, Esteban Ocon was perfectly, Esteban Ocon also had the same issue. He didn't line up properly, and they punished him so much. Like he got a 5 second, then he got a 10 second because I think it was because like some mechanics touched his car, and then it ended up in like a 15-20 second penalty. And then they just said, you know what, it's not worth racing because like they kept getting penalties after penalties. So Esteban Ocon, I had no issues with that because the FIA took measures on Esteban Ocon perfectly by the rule book. And then Alonso makes the same fucking mistake, and then he gets like he gets nothing. Like Alonso gets treated very, very well by the FIA. FIA just plays very, very loose on Fernando Alonso. And now today in Australia, which it was a fantastic race with tremendous drama. I really did enjoy it, even though it was heartbreaking for Ferrari. He gets nothing. Fernando Alonso gets absolutely nothing. Gets treated very, very nicely by the FIA, gets treated very loosely. Everything was looking good for every other pilot, but then all of a sudden, Fernando Alonso goes. Probably he went to the FIA. I'm not making any rumors here, but that's what I'm like. You know what? No, I'm not gonna say that because then I think like I'm just gonna be in the wrong, and I'm not trying to crucify Fernando Alonso. But it seems fishy to me. Like I'm sorry, but how is two fucking weeks in a row that you have took the P3 from George Russell, now you're taking up another P3 from Carlos Sainz, who did absolutely nothing, and both of these, of these mistakes were by you. Like in Saudi Arabia, you didn't line up your car properly, and you didn't get penalized for that, and then now today in Australia, now it's Carlos Sainz's fault. Well, I even saw the replay. And it clearly showed that Carlos Sainz had the inside line, and you were well beyond the racing lines, and then you came back in, and then it seemed like Carlos Sainz pushed you and hit your car, and then that's what made you spin. So now all the blame is shifted on Carlos Sainz just because of your stupid fucking mistake. You know what I'm saying? It makes no absolute sense. And then on top of that, Lance Stroll and then Aston Martin once again. Fernando Alonso and then Aston Martin once again in the beginning. Lance Stroll cleanly takes out Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc had well beyond the racing line from the end. Like, you know, he was from the outside and he had the line inside very cleanly. He had the apex. Like, you could see that Charles Leclerc won that duel. And then Lance Stroll had no IQ, took him out, and no penalties once again. And you know what? I really apologize. This is not who I am. You know, that's just my furious side. I'm really tired as well because it's really 3 a.m. Like I think it's like almost 4 a.m. in my city. But that's really like my reaction video right after the race. Like I think like the race just ended up like I think it just wrapped up like 10-20 minutes ago, and I just made that reaction right away. I just grabbed my phone and started recording my reaction. So all my reaction right here, it's just pure raw. It's coming from the heart. But my final reaction to that would, after all this angerness, all this frustration that I just lashed on you guys and all my beloved Tifosis and my beloved Ferrari. And I at the end of the day, I love you guys. I love Ferrari. I love Tifosi. I love Charles Leclerc. I love the whole team. I love Carlos Sainz. I love everybody, okay? I bleed red. Forzaa Ferrari. But my final remarks would be that we got fucked. We got absolutely fucked by the FIA. That was not a team mistake, and I refuse to believe that was a team mistake because we did absolutely everything right. We did have we didn't complain about Saudi Arabia. We didn't complain about Bahrain because that was our mistake. We didn't race properly. It was fully our mistake, and we take responsibility. Right? We didn't complain about that, but today was really absolutely unfair, and it was 100%. We got fucked. We just got absolutely disrespected by the FIA. We got disregarded. Aston Martin, race after race, they're getting favors after favors after favors. Red Bull get enough favors, but Red Bull perform. They have two very, very good pilots. You know, Max Verstappen, he is an absolute domination. Checo Perez, he dominates as well. You know, when and Checo Perez had an awesome race today too. You know, he just unfortunate yesterday, but he is an awesome driver and he performs, and it is acceptable. At the end of the day, Verstappen and Checo Perez, they are absolutely outstanding pilots, but Lance Stroll, he is still not a top pilot. But all of a sudden and no, not all of a sudden, I'm saying he's getting all these favors, which it makes no sense to me, man. Yeah, absolutely, that's just my final remark. We got absolutely fucked by the FIA. We got disrespected by them, and it's not cool, man. It's not fun at all. I'm really disappointed. I'm really frustrated by this. I'm not gonna have a good sleep tonight. That let me tell you guys today. I'm not gonna sleep well today. Absolutely disgusting by the FIA. It's absolutely disgusting. I can't even talk like man. I can't even say much more than that. I mean, we got absolutely disrespected by the FIA. That's not fair. It's really not fair at all. I have enough patience. I have enough patience, but today's race was just absolutely disgusting. It was disgusting. It wasn't even sports. It's not even sportsmanship by the FIA. It was really unsportsmanlike. It was really not fair. They're a bunch of childish like these FIA. I mean, there was nothing about rules. There was nothing implemented. They didn't respect anything. It was absolutely disgusting. And also another fact I wanted to add in before I end this video was that Carlos Sainz will go in and protest this. Carlos Sainz was also I mean, he acted just like me, and he was also very like, no, it's not fair, you know, like, and he said that, like, you know, we're gonna go protest this, you know, this idea, this decision by the FIA, which they should. I mean, go. I mean, come on, Carlos Sainz. If he did the absolute best move to go and protest this decision, because that is really unfair. And, you know, cheers to Carlos Sainz. I mean, he did the absolute right thing to do. I mean, he was fuming. I mean, I just listened to his radio and he was fuming. I mean, I was just like him. I mean, I felt just like Carlos Sainz. So we're gonna see tomorrow what happens and what the FIA does, because if they don't do anything, I'll be I will be really furious. I will never respect the FIA ever again after this if nothing happens tomorrow, because that is really unfair, and the FIA disrespected Ferrari. They have disrespected the FIA had disrespected the tifosis. So I hope all of you have a beautiful night. It's always going to be Forzaa Ferrari. It's always going to be Forzaa Ferrari regardless of what happens. We will stand with Ferrari no matter what. Through sunshine and the muddy days, rainy days, the bad days, we will stand with Ferrari. So I hope all of you have a beautiful night. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. Peace out.